Welcome, boys. Alright, in this video, driving around in the Camaro. A couple reasons. Reason one, we just changed the coolant. We want to make sure we have heat. We do. And we want to make sure that we're not overheating. And we're not. But in addition to that, since I rarely drive the Camaro, you never see it on the channel. Nothing ever breaks on it. Because I don't drive it. But there is one thing we can do. Other than general maintenance. And that is a headrest review. Oh yes, it is that time of day, that time of year. We haven't done one on this car yet. So, before we get into the headrest though, because we know I like to let you guys wait on that, let's talk about the car. Why do I have this thing? When did I buy it? How did I come into possession of it? What's the story with it? Well, here's what we got going on. Back in 2010, they had just come back out with the Camaro. It was the 5th generation Camaro after a 7-year hiatus, I believe. 2002 was the last year of the Camaro, the F-body, and that went the way of the Dodo along with the Pontiac Trans Am of that same platform. And after the 7-year wait, the 2009 Camaro comes out for the 2010 model year. And I was driving I had 3 cars, I think, at the time. I had the Chrysler Crossfire, that was a 2005. I had my 1984 Corvette and my 1993 Corvette. I still own the 93 Corvette, if you've seen that on this channel. And my dad had just bought his Challenger. And he just put some mean exhaust on it, and it sounded bitchin'. And I was like, man, I want a car that has bitchin' exhaust. Now, the 84 Corvette did have pretty bitchin' sounding exhaust, but I drove the Crossfire, and I treated it a lot like this, where I never drove it. It was one of those nice weather driving cars. And I really liked it, but it wasn't a V8, and it just wasn't as fast as I think that car should have been. And after hearing my dad's Challenger, I was like, yeah, I need something mean like that. So I actually went to the Dodge dealer twice. I test drove an SRT Challenger. It was white. But what I wanted was, I was like, you know what? Maybe I can get a Hemi Orange SRT. That'd be pretty sick. So I had actually sat down and went through all the options I had wanted, and I think the total was like $44,000 or something. They're like, well, we'll see if we can get you approved for financing, because I didn't have 44 grand to drop on it. Well, they said negative on the financing. No, you don't qualify for the financing. So I was like, well, whatever. And that's when I bought the Crossfire. So, you know, a year later rolls around, and I go back, and I'm like, all right, since I know they're not going to freaking approve me for 44 grand, what about this RT Challenger? There was a blue in color. It was like a spring edition. They called it Dodge Challenger RT. And it had a pistol grip shifter in it. It was a 6-speed. It had a big old screen right here. All leather interior. It had the lights that the Crossfire had that I was used to. Those high-intensity discharge headlights. And so I was like, yeah, you know what, maybe I should buy this thing. So I test drove it, and it was bitching, man, freaking rolling through the gears, and I was like, yeah, I need to be one of them. So I was all set to pull the trigger on it. And I'm like, what do you give me on trade-in for my Crossfire? And it was, I don't remember, we'll say $11,000, and I owed like $12,000 on it. So it was like less than what I owed, and I'm like, man, that's kind of bullshit. And then I was like, well, what would you give me also for the 84 Vet? And they're like, I don't know, bring it over here. So I was like this close to bringing it up. And as I'm getting ready to do that, I actually happened to pass my dad, who was driving his Challenger, and I met alongside of him, and I'm like, hey man, what you doing? He's like, nothing, what you doing? I was like, well, I'm getting ready to go buy this Challenger, I think. And I'm like, but it would be nice if you would follow me, and then you can drive the Corvette, and I'll drive my Crossfire, and we'll go back to the dealer. I can trade them both in and get that Challenger. And he goes, well, hold on a second there, Chief. Maybe you should like test drive the Camaro and the Mustang too. And I was like, well, yeah, I guess. why the hell not? That makes sense. So I went ahead and I think he went with me anyway, though. I think we both rode in the Crossfire to the Ford dealership. That was at the time they did just come out with the 5.0 Mustang. But what happened was that dealership didn't have any, because the Ford dealership up in Arnold, I think, was just going out of business, and I believe all their stock was supposed to get moved over to the dealership down in Herculaneum, and they hadn't yet. They still had some 4.6 Mustangs, but they didn't have the 5.0s. I was like, why the hell would I want to buy a Mustang if it's only got the 4.6 when the 5.0's out? That's kind of lame. So I didn't even test drive any Mustangs. So I just went right over to the Camaro dealer, and then I saw this guy chilling there. It's all yellow with black stripes. It's the 2SS with the LS3, which means it has a 6-speed manual in it. If you buy the automatic Camaros, it has the L99, I think, in it. So I think it might also have 6 gears, though, in automatic. Not really sure. I don't know. I don't own one. But I know you get the L99 engine, which has that cylinder deactivation crap, and it's not really... I wanted to stick. I was like, I'm tired of driving automatics. I've been driving automatics my whole life, damn it. So, test drove this dude. It had 666 miles on it, and I rather liked it. It was very fast, right? Not unlike the Challenger. So I went ahead, and I believe it was 38 or 40,000 for this thing. But they also gave me the only same trade-in on my Crossfire. They wouldn't give me any more for it. They offered me the same as the Dow dealer, so I had to take the hit on that. But my grandpa was retired from GM, so he, of course, could swing me that little discount that he would get. So I ended up getting this car, approved for financing, drove it home that day. And I'm still happy with it to this day. I love driving this thing. You wouldn't know that because I never drive it. But, you know, when I first bought the car, I drove it a lot. I put like 5,000 miles on it, maybe the first year or something like that. And then, yeah, I still used the Corvette for a daily driver, but it was really nice in the summer. I would drive this guy. And, you know, in addition to that, I haven't had to work on it at all because, you know, the only thing I've done is general maintenance, and that's change the oil, change the differential fluid, change the brake fluid. I guess technically it was more like the clutch fluid. That was getting kind of dirty, but they share the same reservoir. So I didn't actually bleed the brakes. I just kept sucking the fluid out of the reservoir for the brake fluid and the clutch fluid. And then you just have to pump the clutch a whole bunch of times and then cycle it through and just keep sucking it out, rinse and repeat until you're happy with what you got. But I do love driving it. I like being able to switch my own gears. And I forgot how fast this thing is. I haven't driven it in so long. I've just been driving normal cars, like the BMW and the Crown Vic. Because once I got the BMW, that became the primary driver. The Corvette became the spare car, and then this was, you know, for like nice weather only. And nowadays, the Camaro and the Corvette are designated more like nice weather only cars. The BMW is the primary driver and the Crown Vic the spare, but that also kind of switches because, you know, sometimes I like driving the Crown Vic because it's, you know, more rugged, can take a hit, and everybody up here drives like an ass, so rather than smash that thing up than my Beamer. So I do like driving it, and it's still in mint condition. Like, these seats are perfect, the interior's clean. I don't drive it in the rain. I've never driven it in the winter. I drove the Vet all winter, every winter for a long time. I've been driving Corvettes in the winter since I was 18. Oh, that bump though. Oh, I will say this thing rides pretty damn rough. Now, I used to not know that. I used to think that was normal, like how this on the Corvette rode. I thought it was normal. Normal cars all rode like that. Everyone used to be like, the car rides like shit. Oh, the bumps, you feel them. Oh, it's hard to get in and out of them. What are you talking about? It's normal. until I, refreshed the whole suspension of the BMW, and I was like, holy crap, this thing is how a car's supposed to ride, which means everybody was telling me the truth. These things do ride like shit, but they handle so well. I mean, you can take turns that like a normal car can only go like 20 miles an hour, and you can go like 60 miles an hour around the corner in this thing. It'll grip. The tires are freaking huge, and it's got the Pirelli P0s on it. But onto the seats and the headrest. So this car does have heated seats. You've got high and low. So in addition to the heater, which I have on now, which I'll go ahead and turn off now, I think, because I don't know if you guys can pick that up. I'm guessing you probably can. But, sorry, bump. A lot of bumps up here in the city, you gotta dodge them, so when I'm pausing my sentence, I'm concentrating on what's the best course of action to dodge these bumps, these manholes, and these potholes. And now I'm losing my train of thought. Oh yeah, the heated seat. Alright, so the Crossfire had heated seats. I think it also had, but I think it had like, I can't remember if it had 2 or 3 different settings, high and low. This has a high and low. So it's not a rotary dial or anything. It's a little bit of ass warm or a lot of ass warm, which is fine by me. An ass warmer is an ass warmer. But the seats are kind of stiff, in my opinion. They're very hard, kind of harsh and unforgiving, which I guess is like popular these days. I guess that's like every car now, because the Corvette seats are pretty soft. The BMW seats are very plush, and even the Crown Vics, for being a cop car, is kind of, those are a little stiff, but I mean the foam is still somewhat forgiving. On this, not so much. I mean, which is fine for what it is, but I mean, if you're going to go on a ridiculously long drive with this thing, your ass is going to be hurting by the time you get out of the car. But you can keep it warm, which kind of helps. And the headrest. So as you can see, it is quite tall, which is how I like them. I like a nice, tall, meaty headrest. But one thing I don't like is a stiff headrest. And this headrest is quite stiff when compared to my other cars. The BMW, that's a nice cushy headrest. The Corvette, also a nice squishy headrest. This thing, though, it's so stiff. It's tall, but it's hard. It's as hard and it's every bit as hard and stiff as the Crown Vic, but bigger. So I do like the bigger part of it, but I don't like the harsh stiffness of it. Now, I like my headrest. I like the headrest to just kind of fill the space and the voids around my head where like the gap in my neck is. Kind of like in the BMW. Like the headrest in there fits right up in there. It's freaking perfect. Come on, bro. Do you not know how to roundabout? It's like every freaking video. Those videos haven't even come out yet. I don't think my dash cam videos of these idiots not knowing how to use this roundabout. And even in the Camaro, these people don't know how to use the roundabout. But, yeah, I guess that's really all I have to say about the car. So, in summary, in conclusion, bought the car, brand new, 666 miles on it. Now it has 31,447 as I'm driving it. Dude, fucking go! I drove it quite a bit when I first got it, all over the place, to and from school even. So I had to go from the city to the county and back. Drove it all over the place for work, put all those miles on it, and then, got the BMW, and now it doesn't drive around so much. It was wrecked once. I got hit in the ass last year, a little over a year ago. There was an ambulance coming this some way, So everybody on this side of the road that I was on had come to a complete stop. The car behind me did not come to a complete stop. Well, I guess technically it did after it crashed into the back of me and smashed up my ground effects package. The whole bumper did, I think, between $11,000 and $14,000 worth of damage. I don't even remember now. Somewhere between there. It was like 11 and 14 grand worth of damage. I'm surprised they didn't total it out, but I guess because I never drive it, I guess because it's so low mileage on it, it's still worth something. That would be my guess. And I was pretty upset about that, as it was this is my first and only brand new car. Probably going to be the only one I ever buy, too. I don't really need another brand new car. I got too many cars as it is, and I never drive this one. So I wouldn't drive the next new one either, I'm sure. And I took it to the Corvette show in 2019, because we had Corona Chan this year, so we couldn't go. So in 2019... the Bloomington Gold Corvette Show, which recently has been, the last 5 years, been in Indianapolis at the Indy 500 racetrack, the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. But that's been kind of dwindling. That show's been kind of going downhill. So I guess to try to drum up some more revenue, they're like, okay, now Camaros can come. I guess thinking like people who have Camaros are going to come. Like, so we're going to have all the Corvette people and then now some extra Camaro people. It's like, well, I think this guy fails to realize that, like, a lot of those people, they own both those cars, so you're not going to get any more people. You're just going to get the same people, but driving their other car. Now, that's what I did. I just drove the Camaro up there instead of the Corvette that year. And while I was up there, the Corsa exhaust people were there, and they were doing Corsa installs. Normally they do it on the Corvettes, but they're doing it on the Camaros too, since, you know, there was Camaros there. I was like, hey man, you got any exhaust? Any Corsa exhaust? The loud stuff, the Extreme for, you know, the 10 with the SS, the manual. And they're like, and I'm like, and for the ground effects package, they're like, okay, so we have some, but we don't have any with us for the ground effects package, because apparently that's a pretty rare option. There's not a lot of Camaros that have this ground effects package. And they were offering like just like 10% discount or something if you had it installed at the show. So I was ready to pull the trigger on it, but they didn't have any with them, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, because, you know, a month after that's when Homegirl smashed in the back of his car and destroyed my exhaust and everything. But that was the time that was a perfect opportunity to get the Corsa and put it on, because I was like, hey man, remember me? I had that Camaro, and you said you'd give me a discount on the exhaust, as long as I reminded you that I was going to have it put on the show, but you were out, because I have the ground effects package. She's like, oh yeah, sure, here's my discount code, order the exhaust, and I'll cut you a little bit of discount since somebody else is going to have to install it now. I was like, okay, sick. So I got that exhaust, $1,000-something exhaust, and I had to just ship straight to the body shop. So I was like, hey, whenever you put my car back together, go ahead and look at all these fucking assholes running this red light. Anyway, and then, so I just had to ship straight to the body shop, and they went ahead and did the install on it. But getting the ground effects package was a freaking bitch, because they don't make them anymore, because it's past the 8 years where they have, you know, where they can make the OEM stuff. So I found some dude in, like, Nevada or somewhere that had, like, a box of these ground effects package parts chilling. So, had it shipped to my house. No, actually, I think I had it shipped straight to the body shop also. So I just bought it off eBay, my own cash money, and then had it sent to the body shop so I could get it fixed. And so once that got installed, got my car back together. It took like 2 months too, by the way, for them to get my car back together. So once they repaired it, it has sat almost the entire year now. I only like taking it out because I'm afraid people are going to hit it. But I just changed the coolant, so I want to make sure that there's no air in it, no air bubbles, that it's actually cooling properly, which it is. And I figured out now's the time, good a time as any to do a headrest review on it. And so now we had story time with Hollywood and a headrest review all in one video. So appreciate you taking a ride with me, boys, listening to me complain about these crappy streets, these horrible drivers, and my time with the Camaro up to this point. So catch you in the next video. Thanks for watching, boys. Peace.